Howdy folks, Matt here with Gulf Coast Fit, and I'm joined by Renissa, and we are about to bust out, she's about to bust out a lunge micro challenge. A micro challenge means it's short, sweet task that is very time efficient. So this is a 6-week lunge micro challenge. So the idea here is you do this challenge once a week. It only takes you 5 minutes. It's good to be a little bit warmed up, but you could potentially bust this out anywhere, anytime without warming up. Depends on how you go about it. So a couple things. This is meant to be a full body, very synergistic type of challenge. Typically you think of lunges as just being lower body. We're making these full body. This is for core, lots of core conditioning, stability, and strength involved here because we will be using a weight with all of these. And this is a 5-minute EMOM where you perform 10 to 20 reps every minute. That's every minute on the minute. See my handy broom pointer here. So here's the breakdown. On week 1, you do 10 repetitions every minute for 5 minutes. So that equals 50 reps. Week 2, you add 2 repetitions every minute. That equals 60 reps after the 5 minutes. And all the way down to week 6, where you do 20 reps every minute, which will give you 100 reps in just 5 minutes. So you'll see the lunge variations, which will remain constant. Here's what makes this challenge fun. Not only the timely parameters with the 5-minute EMOM, but practicing this variety of movement patterns. And like I said, it's very synergistic because we're operating in multiple planes of motion here. We're loaded in different ways and we're lunging in different ways. So it's really full body. We're going to be working with a 10-pound slam ball. That's yours. The first variation is a zigzag lunge where we're strafing side to side, zigzagging forward. Oh, you can see Gus in there. The second variation is an overhead lunge where you stabilize the weight overhead, half your reps on the right arm, half your reps on the left arm, or vice versa. Rainbow lunges on minute 3, which is a great multi-planar, all 3 planes of motion, actually making the ball go up and over your body in a big rainbow fashion. You'll see all these in action here in a second. Rotation lunges, which emphasizes even more on the transverse plane than a rainbow lunge. Takes away the frontal plane motion though. An alternating overhead press lunge, and then a long stride lunge where the weight's offset on one shoulder or the other. You'll see a demo of all of these. So in the next 5 minutes, you might be learning 6 new lunge variations that will last you 6 weeks with this program. Again, this is a 5-minute program once a week. Doesn't get more simple and time effective than that. So let me get my handy dandy timer ready. Do remember, you need a timer with you, and you need to be very, very adamant about staying on time. I'm gonna have to keep referencing back to the board so I don't forget which lunge variation we're doing. We get my timer set. Big reminder here is that practicing your recovery breaths the remainder of each minute is very important, because whether you finish with 10 seconds to go or 30 seconds to go in that minute, you must start the next set on the next minute. So here we go. We're going to start with zigzag lunges. All right, in 3, 2, 1, go. So you see how Renissa is zigging and zagging. The back foot pivots and follows her, but the front foot always points forward along with the torso. Renissa's going to 12 reps. She's on week 2. So you're going to notice that she does 12 reps on every set. So she's on 60 reps in 5 minutes this week. All right, see, that took you 30 or 28 seconds. So now, very important for the remainder of the minute to breathe as deeply, steadily, diaphragmatically as possible. That way we make the most out of the remainder of each minute. Your recovery breaths, I always say, what you do in your rest period is just as important as what you're doing during your work sets. You've got 10 seconds, and you're going to be going into the overhead lunges. Remember, half your reps on one side, half on the other. 2, 1, go. Overhead lunges are great for shoulder stability. See how our arm is fully extended. She's got the added element of balance with the ball instead of using like a dumbbell. See how she switches quickly. That's my baby boy. All right, that took 25 seconds. That was a little bit quicker than the zigzag lunges because there's a little bit less movement with the lower body. Next up, minute 3, you see we're going into a rainbow lunge. One of my favorite, and in my opinion, one of the most athletic lunge variations, because you're operating all 3 planes of motion. You're lunging forward in the sagittal plane, the rainbow's coming up and over your head in the frontal plane side to side, 10 seconds, and then you are also twisting the shoulders and the spine in the transverse plane. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. See how she's bringing that ball all the way down to her hip. Shoulders are twisting as much as possible. Big rainbow overhead. A little more shoulder twist. Chest faces right, chest faces left. Chest faces right. There we go. Chest faces left. This is a pretty quick set as well. Good. Now, there's what I think is fun about those two is the acceleration as you bring the ball up and the deceleration as you bring it down. So you're really relying on your side trunk and using your muscles to put on the brakes, so to speak. 20 seconds. Next up, we're going into a rotation lunge, which the rainbow lunges did incorporate some rotation, but it was more of the mid to upper back twisting. This is more about the lower back twisting. We're going to think about the lumbar spine twisting with the arms fully extended out in front of you. 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. So you see you're going to twist towards the front leg. So this is a demanding shoulder exercise as well, because holding that front raise, even though you're swiping right to left, you are holding a front raise with the anterior delts and your pecs. See how she's twisting towards the front leg. Working the anterior and external obliques. All right, that was just under 30 seconds. Now we've only got a couple more lunge variations left. Like I said, this is a very, very quick, short, sweet, quick and dirty lunge challenge. Here I am in the gym now. 12 seconds. Moving on to alternating overhead press. So Renissa's gonna have the ball on one shoulder and she's going to step forward with the opposite leg. And you'll see how that movement pattern goes in 2, 1, go. See how she's stepping forward with the opposite leg. Fully extending overhead and bringing it down and tapping the shoulder. A little lateral motion into an overhead press is good to hit the posterior, medial, and anterior delts. It's good movement for the shoulders if you're used to doing strict overhead presses in the same plane of motion. Just adding a little bit of movement side to side changes the angle of the weight in relation to your shoulder joint, so that can be pretty therapeutic. Last up is a long stride lunge. We put these last, and again, this is in this order for a reason, and you keep this order constant. And I'll explain a little bit more briefly after this. We got 10 seconds. The long stride lunge, the weight is offset on one shoulder, and you're really using this as a lunge stretch. 2, 1, and go. See how she exaggerates her stride? It's a much longer lunge than any of the previous variations, and that's because we're finishing with a good hip stretch. We stretch the hamstrings and hips in the front leg, and we stretch the psoas, quads, hip flexors in the back leg. So you're really feeling a good stretch in the front and in the back. You'll notice that she switched the ball onto the other shoulder halfway through. Being offset loaded has its own benefits as far as core stability goes. Awesome. So to reiterate, that was quick. That was 60 reps in 5 minutes. How do you feel?
Good. Energized.
Week 2 in the bag. And so remember, you keep this order every single week. Each week, if you're ready, if you did the previous week well, move up 2 reps every minute. And Renissa was using 10 pounds, but you could start with no weight and go through these movements with just your arms. That'd be a fine start. And you can go up to 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. You really don't, it's not about how heavy you're going. I wouldn't recommend doing this any heavier than 15 pounds. And rarely would anyone need to do this challenge with more than 10 pounds. That's kind of the upper end of the spectrum, because it's more about the synergy, accelerating and decelerating, perfecting all of the different movements that are encompassed in each variation. And it's not meant to be a heavy strength workout. Otherwise, it wouldn't be short and sweet then. You would need to spend some more time warming up, doing mobility activation work and prepping your body. So give it a go. 5 minutes is all you need, 6 weeks, and you'll get a plethora of benefits from that. Thank you. On to the next.